giving you. Yeah, we are live, guys. So, hi everyone. Welcome here to another impactful discussion where we tackle issues that are actually affecting our young people, especially of Africa. And today we are talking about politics. So, we are not politicians here, but then I don't believe that one has to be actually a politician to talk about politics because politics affects us all. So yeah, so we are joined by young Africans, like young people from African countries, just to talk about this topic, to hear their voices when it comes to politics and young people in politics, when it comes to politics and all that. So I'm just going to give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourself to the panel, to the audience. So I think we can start with you, Ben, if you're fine with that. Ben, you can go ahead. You are mute.
Yeah, I've realized that I was mute. So yeah, I was introducing myself. I am Ben Chege, 23-year-old YouTuber, upcoming YouTuber, I'd like to say so, and filmmaker, and yeah,
Okay.
an enthusiast young
Okay, then
African.
I think
Elizabeth, I can't hear you for speaking.
Kaura, I think you can go ahead to introduce yourself, or Awino, you two can go ahead to introduce yourself to the audience before we start with the main discussion.
All right, Elizabeth, please confirm if I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for this session. I'm hoping to have a fruitful discussion. My name is Trevi Lawino, and I'm a commerce student with a concentration in finance at the Technical University of Kenya. And currently, I'm also serving as the country representative of Youth Up Global here in Kenya. And I'm a United Nations Standard Development Goals advocate. I advocate for the SDGs. Thank you.
I think I can just go ahead and my student at the University of Libya, and I'm also a planning director in encouraging young people to participate in democratic processes. So I think that's just a short summary or introduction of who I am.
Okay, thank you so much, guys, for introducing yourself. So, I think, okay, just to start on, and thank you so much, everyone who is on this live streaming, who is watching with us. So, yeah, I think we can go actually dive in with the main discussion. So, I think I'll start with you, Kaura, and others can contribute as well. Maybe, Kaura, you can just tell us what is, when we talk about political participation, what do we mean by that?
Question what
We can't quite hear you.
political participation is?
We can't hear you yet. Your voice is cutting. I think you can switch off your video so you speak. Maybe it's the internet or the network. You can turn off your video for you to be audible enough.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Am I audible?
You can go on, Gaura. Not yet clear.
Oh God. Elizabeth,
Yes. Yes.
get your question. Is your question what political participation is? All right.
Yes. Political
So political
participation.
participation is an activity or it's an activity in which the populace or the population try to influence a regional plan. So there are different types of political participation. An example of political participation can be, for example, voting when you vote for your leaders. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Okay, I think we lost Kaura a little bit, but then Kaura, we can't hear you that
When
well. Your voice is cutting. Yeah.
you vote for your leaders,
Okay. I think
which
Kaura.
parliament.
Okay. I think we will get Kaura. Like we'll get back to Kaura's question later. But maybe let me just come back to you to the my Kenyan in the house. So you guys recently had your elections, right? And so maybe you can briefly just tell me how was the election in your country for this year, and how did the youth react to the election? Did you guys vote? And if you voted, why did you vote? If you did not vote, why didn't you vote? Maybe you just give us a brief description of how your election went in your country. Yeah, any of you can go on.
Okay, Elizabeth. I think For this election in Kenya, I actually voted. The reason why I voted is an obligation for any person registered as a voter, and it's a way we exercise our constitutional right. And I actually think that the election in Kenya this year were fairly done, and there were some slight innovations to the system that we were proud of a little bit, but then it went further to not really help in some way. But what we are really grateful and thankful for is that the election went peacefully. There wasn't any problems of violence, post-election violence, or any voter uh, problems when we had our elections this year as compared to the other ages. Yes, so I think we did well as Kenyans when it came to keeping peace in the country after elections, considering what we have experienced in the past elections.
Elizabeth, I think you are mute.
For that information. If we are glad that actually the election went peacefully in Kenya and people came out in numbers to vote. And yeah, so maybe we can hear from your side, Ben. Like, did you vote? And if you did not vote, why you didn't vote? Just how the election went from your side.
So yeah, thank you. And maybe to take cue from Shrevin, my good sister here, is the election this time was fairly and from election, 2017 general election, had some visible and everyone felt the difference. Peace was what came out clearly. There was no any sort of national anarchy. I'd like to say so. And now coming down to the specific voting population, which was around 22 million registered voters, and looking at it, the huge number of the 22 million registered Kenyan voters, majority were the youths. And for me, quite frankly, I did not participate in the process, in the voting process. And coming from a point of, identifying what the politicians and the leadership of the day has promised in earlier periods, such as promises in 2013 general elections were the same as the promises in 2017 general elections, and looking at it, the frustration of realizing it was not, those promises were not like fulfilled. To me, as a Kenyan youth, I did not feel the importance of taking up the process, and so I did not feel the sense of security towards the future that I hold, in the sense of the politicians who are there in the day. So yeah, that was generally what I felt like, and I did not vote.
Okay, thank you so much, Ben, for sharing that with us. Like, for sharing that with us, actually. So yeah, I like people vote, and some people decide not to vote, and we all have different reasons why we did not vote and all that. So you spoke of, actually the leaders not doing what they promise when people have to vote and all that. So maybe like my follow-up question can be actually like, think that why do you think that young people are actually not considered as stakeholders in political decision, even when after winning the elections after these leaders do all their promises and all that. So I think maybe you can just all of you can participate in this.
Let me take up that one, Elizabeth. And I believe your
Okay.
direct question is like, why are we during the campaign and the entire duration before voting happens? The youths are seen as mobilizers. We are very instrumental in projecting what the politicians are intending or are promising, and it gets to a point whereby we feel like we're just being used as to push their agenda. Whereas when they are in power, yes, the few youthful politicians that get into the elected positions, one way or another, they get incorporated into the political arena, and somehow they forget the sort of unity that they had with us. And so the sense for us is like we are feeling as only being instrumental during the campaign periods, whereas some of these manifestos and promises raise concerns or raise questions into which or on which the politicians are promising. So for us, we see ourselves at a place whereby we are just being used. After they get into office, the promises that they made are neglected. So we are at that position.
Okay, quite interesting, quite interesting. So are we not from your side? Are we now with us? Okay, then Kaura, you can go ahead. Did you get Kaura, you can go ahead. Okay, I see we have actually experienced Africa in the house. We have yoga with Goga in the house as well. Yoga with Goga. Goga is actually saying
Okay.
true. I also did not participate as a Kenyan youth. So yeah, yes, Kaura. Yes, Kaura.
Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Can I go ahead?
We can hear you.
Okay. So I think firstly, maybe let me just restart this. What political participation is? I think maybe I know. Yes, I was saying.
Yes, Kaura.
Let me start with what political is before let me do this. Uh,
Um, we can't
yes,
hear
I was
you
saying
that
maybe start with
well.
political participation because I think maybe that was one was not a bit clear. So what political? Yes,
I'm the only one not hearing Kaura well. Can you guys hear him
Elizabeth,
speak?
can you?
We can hear you, but not that well. Like your voice is still cutting, so we can't really get what you are saying.
Why?
Not really, not yet, not really well yet. We can't hear you
Elizabeth,
as. Yes.
sorry.
We can't hear you that well yet. Okay, try speak.
Yo, I don't know what
It's
because
is
I've
like
tried. I have tried everything. I don't know.
okay. Then maybe Awino can
Sorry.
go ahead to.
Can you now?
While you are sorting out your stuff, yes, not really yet. So I think Awino can go ahead speak for now. Awino, are you with us? Awino.
Hapa polisi wanasimamisha watu wamegwarana, polisi naye.
Hello, Elizabeth. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Kindly
Did you get
repeat
the
the
question?
question.
Okay. So my question was actually like, why are young people, like the youth, not considered as stakeholders in political discussion, even when the winning of any election depends on them?
Well, the youth are not considered because many of the people responsible and running for these political seats do not really have the interest of the country and the interest of the entire community at their heart. People are driven by other self-interest and private things. So, and the youth themselves are really tired of the corruption and the recurrent problems that we've been facing over the centuries. So, despite even the youth alone taking part in the elections, many of them are not even turning to do the voting, to participate politically, because they are sure they'll be ignored and they are not regarded as stakeholders.
And that's quite very true, actually. You know, even though young people are the even though election depends on them, and we have this our leaders, that actually now African leaders, and I believe that I see that this actually, like on a personal view, like all African leaders, they all kind of the same when it comes to their ruling and all that. And young people are mostly not considered in most of discussion, decision making, and all that. So what do you think, as young people, what can we do maybe to improve that, to get ourselves involved when it comes to politics, to get ourselves recognized by the government or by the people in leadership? So what do we as young people have to do?
Well, first of all, Elizabeth, the youth and people like Ben Shege actually should know that their vote is really important, and the youth play an integral part in political development and change. If we want to start it, we have to start by that awareness that our vote is actually important, and actually take part in these political decisions made through our votes, because we cannot be here complaining how things have not changed and we don't take part in changing them. I think that is one of the ways we can start, by making some little effort in changing our systems.
Well said. Yeah. Ben, do you want to add anything?
Yeah. Probably in the light that we are the ones with the ability to make the change or bring out the voice that we of the things we desire of. One thing that is good looking at is that the youth mindset, and not only in Kenya but in Africa, the youth mindset has changed. We are not somewhere that we expect like the government to come in and help us directly. We are forming groups by ourselves, communally, at a community level, that is, and something also that is worth not pointing out is that the current youth is not the same youth or a generation ago that was colonized. We are colonial free. We do not have that sort of colonial mentality that previous generations that had. A huge chunk of us, almost in the entire youth right now, it was born after the colonial period, quite here in Africa. So we are not just here waiting like the government to come in and grant us any sort of help. We are the ones actually innovating some of these technological achievements, and then it turns out to be that now the government is now which is approaching us. So looking at it that way, I think is where the real matter is.
I see. I love actually that you say that we, like, we the young people of today, we have a change of mindset, and we are actually not expecting the government to come and rescue us. We're actually the one that are coming up with innovative ideas, and doing. We're actually the one that have to help the government, and we don't expect them to come and do all that. So it's now like as like as young people, do we believe, like, do you think, like, can we succeed in being in without without actually in decisions and all help?
Can you come up again, Elizabeth? I've kind of lost your question.
Okay. In Africa, we experience Africa joined us. He's also a Kenyan.
Hello. Can you
I
hear
hope.
me? Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yes,
I
we
can,
can hear you. Experience Africa.
but I can hear the host. Actually, I am Nigerian, but I'm Pan Africanist, so I'm not Kenyan. I'm Nigerian.
Oh, sorry for that. Sorry for let you introduce yourself, like
Yeah,
in before I introduce you wrongly.
yeah. So, as a matter of fact, my name is Harry Tigansa Jingina. I am experienced Africans on YouTube. I share the experience of Africans living both and abroad. As a matter of fact, I want to commend you for what you've been doing. You've been doing an amazing job. And I like the fact that you are so focused on the youths and trying to cut across borders because, as a matter of fact, right now, we are looking for an Africa without borders. You know, what we expect from Africa right now is bigger than what we have been expecting in the past. And elections is a very key role in Africa that youths have the rights to play to bring about leaders that will actually make a change. You know, um, I am not going to be talking based on political affiliations or anything, but I know that the leader right now in Rwanda has been able to achieve some great amount of positive impact on Rwanda because he is somebody who was committed to the job, who is somebody who has worked hard to see that Rwanda has transformed from what it is to where it is getting to now. Rwanda is a place that everybody wants to visit. Rwanda is a place that every Rwandan wants to contribute to the growth and development of Rwanda. On Saturdays, everybody comes out to clean Rwanda because they have a leader that they believe in and he's doing things that are right. Yeah, so that's for Rwanda. For Kenya, it has just been an election, and the past administration have done their own part. There is a new administration in place. Um, Whether the election went in favor or against for people who voted, We cannot all have it our way, but the final decision has been taken. The Supreme Court has ruled over the election. But for me, what I feel is that we as youths have a big, big role to play in politics. And until we decide to take it, we are the majority, and we decide to start taking decisions that will impact on our continent, we will continue to suffer. I cannot believe that in modern age, slavery is still going on. Uh, from Africa, people are still being pushed into slavery, but this time with a new twist where people pay their money, some don't pay money, and they are taken abroad to go and slave again. The same slavery, people are still being sold at 2022. You sell out a housemaid, you sell out a man to work on a field or something, and it's still happening in 2022. Yet we have what we call the African Union. Yet we have what we call the East African Regional Government. Yet we have what we call the West African Regional Government. And things are still happening like this, but our parliaments have not been able to do anything about it. And it's so shocking. So the youth have a right in this modern day to make an impact on how we can be governed and how we can get developed and move our country into the next phase of development, because Africa is the future. Really, it is the future. The whole world cannot do without Africa. um, China cannot do without Africa. That's Asia. America cannot do without Africa. Britain cannot do without Africa. So Europe on its own cannot do without Africa. They need us. And if they need you, and they need you, you have to become very important, you know. So we need to rise up and participate in elections. For Kenya, I'm so excited that they had an election that was quite peaceful. There was no post-election violence, like all of them have said. Um, it's an amazing step for other African countries to emulate. But how much of the youths came out to vote in general? Your vote counts. Nigeria is about to take on to the election, Angola also. So we need the youths to come out to make a statement that we're tired of the way we have been ruled before. We're tired of the policies that have been going against us, joblessness. People have to leave their continent to go other places. If my continent was good enough, I won't be here in the Gulf country trying to make a living. So we need to actually uh, make this impact by voting the right leaders, making sure that our impact is felt by our vote, which is our right. It's just by your vote. You don't need to fight. You don't need to do violence. You just need to go to the polls and decide by your vote. Get your voters registration, take the queue, and elect who you think should be, protect the votes, and let it count. So with that being said, I want to thank you all who have been able to come up to contribute and also to support Elizabeth on this journey. It might be slow, but eventually we'll get there. If two people start to talk about it, three people, four people, five people, we're getting the awareness. The social media has become a weapon for us to use to change the narrative of how we Africans are being perceived and how we are being governed also in Africa. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Experience Africa, for that information actually. So I'm actually shocked that we still have slavery. Like I didn't know that like we still have slavery happening like in Africa. Yeah, I hear cases, I actually hear cases of people being traded to other countries such as India and all that, being taken there as housemaids or as other to go and promise jobs and everything, but when a person goes there, actually it's actually a totally different kind of thing. So yeah, I think those are still issues that we as young people actually Africa that have to deal with. And I think it's only us the young people that have actually to stand up to such behaviors or to take action actually against that against that that bad behavior that is actually being still being in Africa, that is still being done by to our African brothers and sisters and all that. So yeah, do you guys maybe have anything to add or to what experience Africa like said? Ben, we know.
For me, I wouldn't add anything. I'll just agree with generally what his view is. I hold the same views also.
Yeah. Thank you. So, like, back to the question that I was actually speaking earlier. So, you spoke of I was actually asking, like, as young people, and I think maybe all of you can go ahead to let's to give your views. Like, as young people, capable of like are we capable of actually doing things on our own and not needing any political hand or any political help or any governmental help? Are we capable? Not really capable, but are we able to do that as young Africans?
Yeah, who is the question
Any of you
directed?
can go ahead.
Okay.
And all of yes.
Yeah, as Africans, I believe we have, like I said, Africans. African. Like I
Yes.
can myself. Yeah. I'm African, I can. All Africans have the opportunity and the power to do whatever they decide they want to do. You know, if you can, we're not cans. That's why the whole world, most especially the superpowers, they have tried to leave us in this condition where we have to depend on them for a lot of things, while it is them who depend on us for everything. You know, if you stop exportation from Africa right now, either crude oil, fruits and vegetables, uh, whatever it is that you're exporting out of Africa, iron ore, titanium, gold out of Africa, the whole world is going to suffer. So they need us more than we need them, and we can. All we need to do is that they have enslaved us into thinking that we need their garbage to survive. You know, what I mean by what they need, they've made us into thinking they need their garbage is because uh, second-hand clothes are shipped to Africa every day because we need to use second-hand clothes. Used electronics, used computers, used furnitures are shipped down to Africa because they want us to keep living and depending on them. If we didn't have these things shipped to us, our textile companies would be working, our manufacturing, we would have been able to develop our own technology in such a way that we will have newer things, brand new, like they do have up there in their countries. So when they limit your thinking to being inferior, you don't become innovative. So yes, we can survive on our own. I thank God for this platform, YouTube, and almost most of the social media platforms. We have seen a rise in entrepreneurs coming up on social media and becoming really, really big entrepreneurs. I have seen radio presenters being selected from TikTok, and now they have become great radio presenters. I've seen movie actors being selected from other social media platforms because we have been given a platform to expose and show our talent. So we are self-sufficient people. It's only that we don't see the opportunities abound. um Elizabeth, I would give an example with you. If you didn't start this channel, you wouldn't have 10 followers on YouTube. So you started a channel, now you have 10 people who believe in you, who are your subscribers, 20, 100, 200, 300. Before you know it, you had 500. So you already have built a community by 500. So it means there are people who support you with what you're doing. But if you didn't believe in yourself to start up putting the first content on this platform, nobody would have seen what you can do. And I'm telling you, when I go through your content, I always imagine, like, okay, this person, is it like there is somebody who's really coaching, or is it that she has like a manager, a team or something? Because your content goes beyond the number of subscribers you have. So I want to commend you, based on what you've been doing. If you can do it, every African youth can do it. We just need to start, you know. So that's what I would like to say.
Wow, thank you so much, Experience Africa, for that. I hope I'm audible enough.
You are audible.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, okay. So thank you so much, Experience Africa, for that compliments actually, and for that powerful words that you just gave us. And I also believe that we all Africans can actually do it, and we can do what we are able and capable of anything. So maybe Ben, do you like you can maybe add your 2 cents as well if you want to comment on that as well.
Yes, and maybe I go back to the point. We are not saying not rest,
We can't hear you that well. Can you guys hear Ben?
Maybe he can go out and come back.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I was
Yeah, we
Yeah, we
can.
can hear you.
Yes.
the point that I was trying to put across was that we are not in a position whereby we feel like the Western world has to come in aid and aid us. We feel like what already is in place for us, we can use it to our own advantage. We have already started using it. The platform itself, YouTube, as my good friend has touched on, you are a good example, and I believe many of, even myself included, are taking cue from. So as the African youth, we are at as and the point whereby I said that most of us do not have the colonial hangover. Is like we are not mentally dependent on them. We are not expecting the aid from them. So we are at a good position. We are heading somewhere with our own thoughts, our own innovations, and yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you so much, Ben, for that insight. Insight. Are we now you?
Yes, yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we should.
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, I think my comments on the same would be in I think in as much as we think and have actually started to do these things independently as African countries, I think to a greater extent the reality is not that we are not ready, according to me, because in Kenya, for instance, the country in the village areas, the really vulnerable areas, we still rely on foreign aid to educate children. We still rely on scholarships. We still rely on a lot of things from outside Africa. See how Kenya has a lot of billions of loans from outside Africa. So, in as much as we actually think and know that we can do these things independently as African countries, we are still not there. We are really still not there, because if we can do that really, then why are most African students and African youths, why do we want to run away from our countries? Look at, I've interacted with a lot of Nigerians, for instance. Every youth in Nigeria wants to go abroad and leave Nigeria. And a lot of people in Kenya, somebody wants to go to the university for higher education, but someone wants to also just get out of higher education and go and work abroad. Why don't we want to give back to our communities and our home, back home in our countries in Africa. So we can't really say that we are going to stop depending on the outside Africa countries and nations if the youth still have the ideologies that I have to get out of Africa, I have to get out of Kenya, I have to get out of Nigeria. We want to get passports to go to Canada. Why don't we want to give back? I think there's a lot of things that really need to be done. The reality is just that we still rely on foreign aid, we still rely on a lot of things from the West. And yes, I think the idea of African countries working themselves together to achieve economic development or any other achievement is a good ideology. But then I think also that in as much as there are really negative impacts from that dependence, there are some uh, positive impacts that we are overlooking. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Awino. And I love that you actually say that. And I think that is actually one of the biggest problem that is actually facing almost all African countries, because every African child's dream is actually to go to the US. Every African child is actually to attend the university in the US, in America, in Canada, and all of that. And we leaving our schools behind. Our low quality schools behind, leaving our resources behind, and living this low life. Like us, we are not actually aware that while we are the one we have to breathe to improve our communities, we have to improve our schools, we have to improve our hospital and everything. We're actually the one that are going to other countries that that are already better off, that where their schools are already better off, where they are already having high quality education, high quality medical health and all on all that, and we're actually leaving ours behind. And then who is now going to actually improve that and work and just work on that? So maybe just my follow-up question, like my question actually regarding that. So what are some of maybe like what are some political dangers you foresee in the future, and like who must do what, like for African countries?
Well, Elizabeth, one of the really political danger I'm afraid of as an African youth is that, particularly as a Kenyan youth, is that in the near future, we are going to record very less number of youths actually voting, participating in the electoral process, even honoring their constitutional obligation to vote. We are going to have very few youth because, as Ben said, youths are really tired of politicians and these leaders promising them, but we still have things like unemployment. And this is something we even faced in our recent elections. Many youths do not want to turn out to vote. And once we do not turn out to vote, that means we don't take part in making these decisions, and we leave them to for the others, very few to make them. So what I foresee in the future is that very few people are going to take even the election process seriously. And that is something that should be alarming as an African, as a Kenyan, because if that is one of the major decisions we should make as a country, to vote leaders who we actually believe in, and that can bring change. So the problem here is that the problems that are making us not to vote are the root cause. Those are the things that can be looked into. Things like youth unemployment. I actually major on youth unemployment because I'm somebody who advocates for this and finds solutions towards this. What can these leaders and what can our systems and what can our youths as a population do to end the youth unemployment, so that these root causes can be dealt with? So that is my part on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Awino, for that. And yeah, so before you go ahead, I just want to read out a comment from our future president, our Kenyan future president. So he said that's the name. So he says one the young people are actually discouraged from participating in political politics is because we have a lot of political parties in some African countries. For example, in Namibia, we have more than 20 parties. So that's what he's saying. That's one of the main reasons that young people don't want to vote because there are a lot of parties and then they are all promising the same things and all that. So yeah, you guys wanna comment on that? Like, is it the same in Kenya as well? Do you guys also have like a lot of political parties?
Yes, I'd like to take up that as I also give my response on to your earlier question.
Okay.
Yeah, and one thing about political parties around here is that yes, there are a number of them, and funny thing is that they really mushroom mainly during the election period. Such that a party that was elected into government in each and every election is a different party that is there, or the sort of play that comes with political parties is that once a party completes its governance, the party is no more. The party does not like have the same vigor as it had while it was seeking office. And what comes with it is that say, the sense that so the political agenda was not only to articulate its manifesto or its principles. Its only use was to just run a government or to just win an election. So looking at it that way, one will wonder then who then is supposed to always be there standing out, because the sort of changing that the politicians do, they are the same politicians, but they dress um, that has some sense of frustrations as they use, because we are just looking at these gamings happening, this sort of you know an idea which to us reflects as they are not principled. These are not people who are standing up for anything that is of importance to us. Now, back to the danger that I foresee in the future. One is the hopelessness is in place already. The voting process, the voting population in Kenya, a big number of it was in a state of voter fatigue. You know, for me, it was a sense of frustration. I felt frustrated from the manner in which the entire campaign period and how the articulation in some of the manifestos were, because they seemed like promises just to entice and make the general mood feel like this was worth, but it basically and breaking it down, it will not add up. It was not adding up in the manner of being factual. So the danger that comes with that is that it might not it might take a while before visible change in the political goodwill of these people comes. So a scenario whereby politicians do not feel the urge of the change that they promise, and they do not have the goodwill, because the corruption in the system happens almost due to lack of caring to the common people. That's the basic value that some of these leaders lack. And for me, it's a danger that is always unraveling, and it's hard to tell when that will change.
Yeah, I see really, I like saying that like the frustration, and it's like a lot of African countries are frustrated by politics, by like our leaders, by the corruption that is all over, especially us here in Namibia. Like the youth are really angry, the youth are frustrated because the people are actually not doing what they are supposed to do. And then there are a lot of corruption cases by like leaders, people that are actually those people that are promising us employment, promising us the development of young people, promising us the development of our communities. They're actually the same people that are also misusing the nation funds. That are also like that are misusing these funds that we're supposed to actually to help the people in the community, help develop the youth and all that. And now the young people are actually putting matters in their hands and all that. Especially like now speaking here in Namibia, we just had our young two people that were actually they've been in jail for the past 3 to 4 months right now, if I'm not mistaken, and they were just released few weeks ago because they decided that the story of young people in Namibia not being paid accordingly, not getting the job, and this just lot of each and every day there's new cases that is actually discovered and all that, and then also the one of the biggest is the Chinese in African countries. Like, do you guys believe that do you guys also have I think Chinese in your countries, and do you think do they do they give any threat to our African development or to as a African country? Like, do they pose any negative impact on our African countries, like on our African countries, guys?
Maybe
Any of you can go ahead.
uh,
Can't hear you that well. Not really. Okay, I can't hear you guys that much well. Are you still here?
Hello.
Yes, yes, I'm
Yes,
still here.
well,
I
I
think
just asked.
I think that the Chinese in
Yeah,
African countries, I'll use Kenya.
you can go ahead. We know. Okay.
Can
She got
I
muted.
talk?
Yes, yes, you can go.
Okay. Actually, as a matter of fact, my phone went off, so I had to plug it on and then get back. I was just listening from the background, but this issue
Okay.
of Chinese in Africa, this is another form of colonization back again. Uh, they're doing it not only in Namibia, they're all over Africa. And when the Chinese come over to your place, they don't come for free. They come. This is pure colonialism again. They come to take from you. They ride over you. There was an incident that happened in an African country, and a, a mayor was made to apologize to just a Chinese guy who was wrong in his own county. This Chinese guy was not treating his staffs very well, and this mayor went ahead to close down their business for a period of time until they made the necessary changes. As a mayor of a particular county in Africa, he was made to apologize to this Chinese man for doing that, for taking the right action. You know, so they are still, when we talk of enslaving, We're not talking of it only outside of Africa. The similar event took place in Nigeria, where a Chinese restaurant in Nigeria would not allow Nigerians to enter inside to buy food. This is a restaurant that should serve everybody. And for the fact that they were in Nigeria, somebody who can afford the food would not be allowed to go inside because he's black. That's racism in your own country, in your own continent. And some governments will tolerate it and allow it. So the Chinese being in Africa, yes, it allows for us to get somewhere, development and everything, if they are really developing us. But as the reality of it is that they are just coming to just take our resources and they will be gone when they are done.
Like we also had several incidents here in Namibia with the Chinese. So earlier this year, there was one incident that actually happened in one of the biggest market, like one of the biggest market actually in the rural area here in Windhoek, whereby one of the residents, she is a vendor, like she's a street vendor. She sells her product along the roads and all that. So
I
she
followed
she
that issue.
she was like where she was actually pee with pure urine by a Chinese, because apparently like she was poured with pure urine while she was selling her stuff and all her stuff was made. And that lady was actually forced to apologize to the Chinese lady. Like
Wow.
she was the one who was wrong, but then she was the one who was forced to apologize. And then just after that incident, because we have now young people in Africa who are actually importing stuff from other countries like clothes, shoes, and everything, and coming to sell here in African countries. So here
Yeah.
now in Namibia, like some of the young, like yeah, some of the people actually um ordered their stuff, and then their things were brought here in Namibia. So what our government did is that they took all those stuff that were ordered,
Confiscated them.
like worth
Yeah,
millions.
I saw that video.
Yes, worth millions, and they bent the stuff. They bent down the stuff. So people got very angry. They went very angry. They went to the Chinatown, because we have a Chinatown here. They went to Chinatown. They started closing down all the Chinese shops and everything. And then
Yeah.
those people ended up being arrested. The two people that were one of the very activists here in Namibia, very active and always protecting young people and all that. So they have been arrested, they have been in jail, and they were just released, I think, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, a few days ago, that's the time. And they've been in jail, I think, for 3 to 4 months.
I watched the
And then,
video
like,
where he was closing down the shops, telling them if Namibians will not sell, why are Chinese allowed to sell substandard products in China in Namibia? I follow these things. So when I talk about them, it's not like I don't know the story. I know the story. But this is to tell you that as a black man, would that be done to you in China? No. You know, so why should it be done in Africa, in our own soil, when it cannot be done in China? Is because our leaders have been bought over. Um, Even in the politics that we're talking about, most of the leaders you find out they are being sponsored by these other countries during their elections. So once they win election, you know, they have something to protect these people, like an agreement kind of thing. You know, if not, how will you arrest your own people for defending themselves? How do you expect an Africa or an African to become innovative when he's selling something that is made in Africa and you burn it down? Do you get me? So how do you expect a youth to get self-employed by becoming an entrepreneur and producing goods when he does that, you burn it down, that is substandard. Yet you allow the Chinese to sell things that are really, really fake to your people. And you even give them Chinatowns in your own country. Like they have the whole place to sell whatever they want to sell without no regulations. It's so sad. It is really sad.
Very sad indeed. So in the comments, future the young people, the youth are really discouraged to participate in today's political because we have lost hope. Enough is enough. We as the young people, the youth are always victims of this dirty politics. We are tired. And then Nikki Ngara said, to be frank, most youth have lost hope and just because of unhygienic politics. That's very true. That's actually very true.
Yeah, but even if it is true, you
So
don't give up, right? You keep the fight, but fight a
yeah,
healthy fight. Fight without violence. Fight without a gun. Fight without a sword. Use the platforms that you have to give a positive fight. You can give a positive fight if the youth will go out in mass to vote for those people they believe can work for them. The dirty politics will be reduced. There will definitely be a time, because this thing that is happening to Africa is not just by politics. Like I said, they have already conditioned Africans to a state at which you would never get to that developed situation where your continent will be developed. They want you to be continuously dependent on them, third world, other countries, that's the developed countries. They don't want you to get to that level. So even if you have a good leader that wants to lead your people, they will eventually want to give you the bad leader so that you don't get out of um, your zone of being stagnant. They don't want you to become developed, so they control that to a certain level.
that's actually, yeah. And I think like it's true, it's young people. Like I think politics, like even though we are losing hope and all of that, we should still we should still fight to actually like we should still participate in this politics because all this trick, all these things, they are all done they are actually all done through politics and all that. So but then the other thing is also that like with most African countries we see where leaders really promise like these people grow up really like being activists, working for young people, working for the good deeds and everything. But when you see like when a person gets into leadership, when the person get into that position, then we see like the person changed, the person takes another direction, like the person actually takes the direction or joins the people that he was actually against. So it really happened with most of African countries like here in Africa. And that is also one thing that really also discourages like as maybe young people not to participate in when it comes to election, in voting and everything. So maybe how do we actually like our young people, how do we encourage actually other young people to actually take part in this politics, like in political discussion, to take part in voting, and just for them to understand the importance of voting and just to understand like the importance of them participating in politics. Any of you can go out. Are we now? Are you still here? Are you still listening?
Yes, yes, I am. I think one of the things we can do as youth is to create awareness. When people have the knowledge and people have the true knowledge, that is actually what we need to create, that everyone knows the benefits of these things. So we can create awareness forums where we spread the messages, where we enlighten people on these things that are actually happening, and the benefits, the flaws in our systems and everything, where people we can have forums where people suggest ways that these things the existing policies can actually be implemented. I think that can help enlighten the percentage of youth that and that enlightenment can in turn create some positive impact to solving and creating solutions for the current problems we are facing.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Do you want to add comments? Ben, can you hear us? You are muted.
Yes, I was saying I've had the entire discussion and the entire points
Okay.
by so I didn't have much to add since I'm among the lot of the generation or the population that is feeling hopeless to some extent. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see. Like I think like as I was also one of the people who actually also believed that I'm not a politician and I'm not going to be participating in political issues or has to do with politics and all that. But then like growing up I realized that actually politics revolves around us. Like everything that we have to do when it electricity, where you live, like everything that actually happens around us, it's it's within politics, and politics affects like our life and all that. And it's only possible like to change like your voice. The only way your if you participate through politics, you participating through voting, you participating in political discussion that, and also just just productive discussions actually that are actually beneficial to your community, beneficial to the people, and all that. And for this debate, like I've also voted for. I've not voted all this, like it's actually like I have the even though like I did not hate I did not reach the age of voting those years then when we voted, but this year I was actually able to vote. But then even though even maybe if I was actually maybe legal to vote those years, I would not have voted because I had no reason to vote, because it's always like kind of same people always like that are in the presidential candidates and all that. It's always the same people, always the repeating their like always it's always the same people. Like even though it's not the same president, it's always the same person from the same political parties, and it's always the same people that is actually within in the group and all that. And I think that is also one thing that also state young people not to participate in voting, not to participate when you speak of politics and all that. So yeah, so like you guys, I think we actually even coming maybe to the end of our discussion, but maybe you guys can like, what is your wish for Africa as a young person? What do you wish? What is your wish for Africa? Ben, you can go ahead.
Yeah, that we as Africans
I can,
are a better place. Can you hear me? I hope I'm
yes, we can hear
audible.
you now.
So yeah, I'm just that a place that it
We can't really hear you that. Okay, maybe
am I
not
audible?
well. Yes, you are audible. You are audible now.
So yes, Africa is not at the same place as it was maybe 20, 50 years ago. Like there is change that is visible in as much as some of these development projects that are coming into our countries, to our through from Western, from the Asians. But looking at it, the globe for Africa, we have the tools in place for better success. And I pray that still keep on raising our voices when justice is done onto our people. Such incidents that see people of color as for us Africans, we see people, not only people of color, any sort of injustice to any person or should be condoned at any level. So speaking out, taking up each and every issue, the law, we have laws, we are
Okay, thank you so much, Ben. I think end when you're ending your sentence, but yeah. So thank you so much. When are you here?
Yes, I'm
What
here,
is your wish for
Elizabeth.
the giant planet of ours?
Well, I have three wishes for Africa. First of all, I wish that
We can't hear you. Are we no?
yes, am I audible enough?
Yes, you are audible now.
Yes, I was saying I wish that every African youth is made aware that their vote is very important and holds so much power in the decisions that are going to be made in the next years after they are voting. Then the other wish I would make is for Africa. My wish for Africa is that there could be this. We have very good policies existing, so I wish that these policies could actually be executed and implemented fairly and really well. The last thing is I wish that all these things could actually lead to economic empowerment and development of the African countries through uniting all the countries within Africa. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Awino, for that. So yeah, we really have great policies that are in place in all African countries, but they are not well carried out. They are, I think, they are just there for the sake of being there because they are not being followed. They are not being put in place in all that. So yeah, that's really true. So yeah, Experience Africa. When I add any comments,
Yeah, hello.
yes.
Yeah. Um, I didn't get the last question. Sorry, I just heard my name.
Um. Uh, so the last question was like, what is your wish for our African continent, for this giant continent of ours?
No, I can't wait. I can't wait for Africa to get to where it's going. To that promised land, a land where everybody wants to visit, a land without borders, where I can travel to Namibia without needing a visa, a land where I can sell to somebody in Ethiopia without needing to do any paperwork. I just need to just travel without borders, a land where I can
Yes.
be comfortable anywhere in Africa as an African, a land where it's peaceful, there are no wars, a land where slavery has been abolished, a very peaceful land where development is everything that is thriving, a land where we produce, we use, and we also export what we have. You know, we only not only produce as in agriculturally, we also manufacture by ourselves. Africa can do all of that. We have every resources to be the capital of the world. Somewhere that everybody um, around the whole globe will come to. Imagine Africa has desert, has swamps, has every kind of climate that you're looking for around the world. We have it in Africa. One portion of Africa has it. Um, all the minerals that you think of today, top minerals are produced in Africa. Most of them, oil, everything produced in Africa, food in Africa. Yet, if you talk of Africa, everybody has this image that Africa is poor. because of what has been portrayed of Africa. So I'm looking forward to an Africa that will really stand out to what it is, like, the motherland, the the grassroots of humanity, as in where the human DNA started from, civilization, education. People don't still know education started from Africa, as a matter of fact, apart from just civilization. So, you know, everything comes from Africa. Why not we go back to that position that we used to have uh, hundreds or thousands of years ago? We need to get back to that status.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. And that is actually one of the main objective of this channel, to create a borderless community where all people can be like, where you can be able to reach out to anybody at and all that. So yeah, and it was today, I think, on today's newspaper, where we had actually where Namibia signed some things with Botswana, where actually the people from Botswana can actually travel to Namibia documents, and Namibians can actually go to Botswana without any passport, or you only have to have your ID, and then you can actually go to the
Yeah,
next country. So, and I think that's what we really need as African countries, where we will be able to travel like to any countries without you having to need a visa, without you having to go through all these home affairs, long processes, and all that, renewing a passport and all that. So yeah, I'm also really wishing for such an African continent. So just session, we have okay, our future president saying, how can we reduce dirty politics in countries like Namibia with multiple parties? Where do we draw the line? Some political parties, the are too many. Do we need So do we need like in any country like a maximum kind of number that every African country must have, like a maximum number of we should have? Um I think that's what he's actually saying.
yeah. As a
So
matter of
being
fact,
now
political parties
yeah, you can go
don't
ahead.
political parties don't really matter. Uh, Most times when you have multiple political parties, it gives you the freedom of association, and instead of just having a two-party system where most countries do have, where you are forced to either be on the ruling party or in the opposition. When you have more parties, it is a bit flexible, so that if your ideology doesn't go with one, it can go with another, it can go with another. But when you have two-party systems, it limits your ideology. If you're not in one, you have to be in one. So I think having multiple parties is much better, but having too many also isn't a good sign, um, because the ideologies will be broken into so many pieces, you know. But when you have like four, five, six, it's good enough. 10, not too bad, but 20 and above, to me, I think it's too much expenses, both for the political parties, for the government in making electoral processes and other things, might be too much to handle. But yes, having more than two political parties, I think is always good to have more than
We
two.
can hear you that well. Experience Africa.
Yes, I said having more than two or three political parties, to me, is far better than just having two. United States of America, one currency, one president,
Okay.
one constitution, free trade, love, respect for one another as Africans. Yes, it's possible to have it in Africa also. We hope that that will come to pass. But we have so many things that are really, really dividing us. Like I said, the whole Western countries will never want us to be united. Have you ever imagined that The host has disappeared. Anyway, have you ever imagined that we don't make guns in Africa, yet when you go to Africa, you find the highest number of guns used for violence, communal clashes, inter-border clashes, terrorism. Um, you have all types of wars, and all these wars are using guns, and we don't manufacture them by ourselves. So somebody is sponsoring this thing because while we're busy fighting, they're busy looting, you know. So that's how it is on the African soil, and we keep staying in that form until we're able to realize that somebody is fueling this thing so that we don't have peace, and they're looting our riches and our resources. Uh, we will find it very hard to grow with the way we are going right now. The host isn't here, yeah? Okay, she's back.
I'm here. I was just in the background listening.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so I see. Yeah, so you say that actually having many political parties is better off than having one or
Just
two parties where you are forced to be
yeah.
there. Yeah, yeah, I see. So here our future president says United States of America, one president, one constitution, free trade, love and respect for one another. Is that really true? How true is that? Having having okay, let me see. Okay, yeah. Having one president, having one constitution, they actually and then the respect of one another. Oh, he actually say the respect for one another is I say that. Really like now if we one president are in Africa, who will want to be ruled? I think one of the problems Africans is that we don't want to be ruled by anybody. We all want to be leaders, and so who will be ruling who in if we happen to have the United States of Africa? Is
No,
that
no,
even a
no.
possible thing?
The United States of Africa, I don't think is a possible thing. Uh, we can get close to that as in a united Africa, but having one president, no. Definitely, we'll have people rule in small colonies. Like the countries will still exist. We might have one currency, yes, it's possible. One African currency is possible. Africa without borders is possible. You know, traveling around the African continent is possible. But having to be ruled by one particular person in Africa, I don't see the possibility anytime soon because we are all power drunk, you know. Even in one country, we're still finding it hard, even with the 39 different countries in Africa, we're still finding it very hard to find one person rule. We're still being divided by tribalism, religion, and other factors that are still dividing us, you know. This man is from here, that woman is from there, is still a very big problem. So having one African president might take time if it eventually will happen, but maybe not anytime soon. But having a common Africa where people have freedom of movement within the African region, free trade, African currency, one free African currency, it's possible. You know, it's very, very possible. Um, but with the pace at which our African Union is moving, um, I don't think it's something we will see in our lifetime. I'm not sure. I don't know how old you are, but really, at the pace, they have a vision called 2063, which I'm trying to make content about. And every 10 years, uh, they have like a regime that reviews what they're doing every 10 years. So this is the first 10 years of that project. Uh, the project is the Africa we want. So about that project, Does it have to take like 63 years? Sorry, 50 years to execute? 50 years to execute the Africa we want. It's too much time. I remember when the president and the ruler of Dubai, may so rest in peace, said he needs to build a country where his people will enjoy this country in their lifetime. He didn't forecast it for a long time. And when he was asked, why do you want to build it for? Immediately, he said, I want my people to enjoy it now, not tomorrow, you know. So, and this is what Dubai has become today. That's why everybody comes to Dubai for tourism. If he had projected it for 50 years, Dubai will not be where it is right now. He projected it for immediately, and they started building it immediately. For Africans, we always want to project it in times that we know. I used to hear Vision 2020, 2020 back then, you know. This 2020 is over, and we have not even achieved half of the vision. Now we have another one they call Project, yes, Agenda 2063. You know, it's like a dream. When will 2063 come? But with the pace at which they're doing, it seems it's an impossible dream. The initiators will never ever see even the project itself accomplished. So what kind of a project will you want to start and not even be there to see it? You know, I wonder for this African Union. I seriously wonder. You know, that's why I'm even trying to make that content. I want to know, what do they really discuss when they go to these African Union meetings? What do they really talk about? Is it like they just take our money, fly their private jets, go to the meetings, come back? I don't know. But you have a vision for your people, and you are taking 50 years. Some of your people are already 50. So in 100 years' time, even you who is making the proposal of the project, some of you are 80. Some of the presidents making these rules are already 80. So when do they get to even see these projects accomplished? It's very sad. Very, very sad.
Exactly. And like these same people, the same people that are actually setting up these agendas is people, essentially the people that are not even going to live for the next 5 years, that are not even going to be alive for the next 10 years. And
Good.
they are the ones that are setting up this these agendas for Vision 63, Vision what, and all that. Agenda what. And that is not doable. Like it's not something that they are really going to do. Like it's not them that are going to do it. It's just something that are setting. Just as long as maybe it's there, just keep being given hopeless, like given these hopeless ideas and all that. So yeah, we should plan for now and not for vision or agenda 63. And execute things now, because even in Namibia we have projects that are supposed to be done. We will develop this community we are going to, but then we see even today these things are still not here. And then there's nobody who will to like there's no ask why is this thing, nobody who is thinking accountable to that, accountable of that, because there's nobody put in place.
So are we not? Thank you so
We've
much
come
for
to the
having me. I really appreciate you.
okay. Thank you, Experience Africa.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And to my brother, I don't know if he's a content creator
Much
also.
better. Yeah, he is also a recent content creator. He just created his YouTube channel. I think it was this month, and he's really trying to grow his YouTube channel. So please, you should check it out.
Yeah, what's
Yes,
your
it's
channel
Feeling
name?
with
Then
Benji. Feeling with Benji. Elizabeth has the will be, yes, she can or share
Yeah,
it.
Elizabeth, if you can take off the name, it will show. If you can take off that chat or something, so the name can
Yes.
show, and then I can see it.
Okay. Ben with Ben. Let me see. What is the name again, Ben? Is it? I just write it. Just write it. Can you write it? I'm trying to get it, but no, I can't get it in this chat. Can you just maybe write it? Okay, here it is. Yes, Safari
Safiri,
with Benki.
okay, Safiri with Benji.
Yes,
Okay, it's all right.
yes.
Thank you so much, and have a great night rest. I have to go.
Okay, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Experience Africa. Thank you so much, Ben, for being here up until now. So yeah, thank you so much, and looking forward. So next week we'll actually be having a session with Experience Africa as well. So next week Friday, on content creation.
Yeah. So we'll
Yes.
see you
So
then,
yeah.
all of you, next Friday.
Yes, exactly. So thank you so much. I'll be ending the
Thank you so much.
broadcast now.
Take care very much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.